So you somehow make it to Pancrase, September 24, 2000, against Suzuki, Minoru Suzuki.
Oh, tough fight.
Super tough fight. And Denis comes out with the win.
But hey, man, I pulled it off. I couldn't believe it. Because about a year earlier, they actually put Pancrase on Canadian pay-per-view. I couldn't believe it.
Really?
We ordered it and we watched it. And the main event was Suzuki versus Frank Shamrock. And so we watched it. I recorded it and everything. I loved it. And then all of a sudden, I'm across the ring from him. I was like, oh my God, I couldn't believe it. Remember, you were there.
Yeah.
Markart was there.
Oh, yeah.
Gasaway was there. Rest in peace. Shoney was there. Joe
Chris,
the Ghetto Man
Chris
Charles.
fought Shoney. Yeah, Chris, you fought Shoney on the undercard.
I can't remember. I remember being there. Yeah, I remember.
I have a picture. I have a picture with all of us standing there. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's too
backstage
cool.
with that
Back
T-shirt.
then, it was awesome because back then it was like all the foreigners, like us against them, really. That was the mentality, you know. Like these guys don't want us to win. We want to win. This it was cool. I love the us against them feeling in locker rooms and stuff, hanging out all the time.
And Denis, let me ask you. You know, you mentioned that you got to Japan through Phyllis Lee, and that's, you know, it makes sense. But I thought you may have gotten there because, like, you're part Korean. I know you.
No, that was
Korean.
later. That was later.
Well, why don't you tell people your background? Because I know you also speak French and Spanish, and so this guy's a wizard, really.
My mom's French and my dad's Korean, but I was born in France, and I lived there until I was 9, and then we moved to Spain, to the Canary Islands, and then we lived there for a year. So I learned to speak Spanish when I was 10, and then we moved to Canada.
Did you run
and then I also learned to speak Portuguese because I speak French and Spanish. So I speak 4 languages.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, let me go through this real quick because this is actually very interesting. So you're coming in as a heavy underdog, and there's Denis, you are the definition of a B-side at this point against Suzuki because he's
he's one of the founders of the organization.
Yes.
He ran one of those gyms and he ran one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and clearly Mafia connected. So you land a big right hand, and then and it breaks Suzuki's nose. And then Suzuki kind of stumbles back. You go in for a takedown. He actually dives out of the ring and feigns like he's hurt in order to
he says he hurt his hip or back. Remember? Yeah. And then when I go, thank you, I respect you, he goes, oh, I am old man. I am old man. But he wasn't that old. I think he was 35. But he had a lot of fights. But I mean, I don't know.
First of all, that old man, I've seen him in the AEW. I know it's pro wrestling, but it's, pro wrestling's not easy on the body.
And he still does pro wrestling.
Yeah, this year I saw him. He did it this year. He was on AEW. So
he still does it.
He's an amazing athlete, man.
Yeah,
just amazing dude.
He dives out of the ring, buys himself some time.
Yeah,
and it kind of gives him a little injury timeout.
Yeah,
it's and then after a failed takedown from bottom position, you land a couple heavy right hands, and he just kind of taps, and his back is hurt. It seemed like he realized that this was a little more real than he expected.
Yeah, I think so.
And there was a big confidence booster, in my opinion, for yourself at this point in your career.
Huge. I couldn't believe it. I was 22. No, I think I had just turned 23. I want to fight in Japan against Suzuki. I couldn't believe it. So right away, they bring me in to fight Cutthroatmma, right? But they call me last minute. And it was around Christmas time. I think it was New Year's. And, I was a young, broke-ass 23-year-old. So I had gotten a part-time job to buy Christmas presents for my friends and family. So I was barely training because I was working. So I took the fight anyways because it paid $1,200 US at the time, which was a lot. Yep. The exchange rate was crazy at the time. It was a $1 US was worth $1.55 Canadian. It was crazy at that time. So, of course, I took it, but I barely trained. And it was a crazy fight. And they gave it an overtime. And I was I remember being so glad that the fight was over. And the ref comes, he goes, overtime. And I go to Marcus. I go, Marcus, I can't do this. I'm too tired. He goes, man, what can I do? You have to fight. And then he just pushed me out there, and I just went out swinging, man.
So
There's a clip of it on my Instagram.
Check out the full interview on iTunes, Spotify, and all major podcast platforms.